All right, well, let's talk about everyone's favourite uncle.
Everyone's favourite uncle. The biggest ginger in arm wrestling.
Yeah, unfortunately, the man that is well and truly ahead of me on the ginger world ranks, Mr. Jerry Cadorette. Is he a good arm wrestler, a bad arm wrestler? Is he where is he? Because people write him off, myself included at times, and then he wins. But then he can't get another match booked. Where is Jerry Cadorette in this?
He's a strange arm wrestler. He's a specialist in such an unusual move to be a specialist in. If you think about people who are almost exclusively flop wrist pressers, how many are there?
He's the only one.
He's the only one.
Is he an exclusive flop presser? Like he will bury someone with a shoulder roll.
He's a specialist flop.
Like when Gennady tried to hook him and he just went straight over his bone line and just bang. But he is very comfortable in the flop, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's where he ends up in a match 95% of the time.
Yeah. We put the world ranks out the other day. I got to tell everyone. We put the world ranks out the other day. Just when I say we put the world ranks out, like it's not like you have to take it as gospel, but we put our opinion out, and I think we didn't say Jerry was like on the live stream. Where did we put Jerry? We put him at 4 or 5 or something like that. But Jerry messaged us, stop being a Jerry hater, and he reminded us of his ability to beat Gennady and his ability
and the fact that Gennady beat Devin with the flop. It's like don't keep saying that Devin will beat me.
Yeah.
Look what Gennady did.
It highlights the reminder that Jerry is a badass. Do you think? I remember I asked Jerry when I met Jerry in Turkey at one of the East West events. The one where he beat Gennady, I actually got to call that match. It was a scary match to call. I literally thought he was going to blow his arm up, but somehow he's got the most resilient elbow in the history of the sport. But I asked Jerry about where on earth that strength and conditioning was developed, and forgive me if I get this wrong, Jerry, but he told me the story of when he was a teenager. He grew up working for his uncle or whatever on a construction site. And he carried big slabs of bloody form ply, loaded slabs of form ply, and he'd carry 6 of them like this. When everyone else was carrying 1 or 2 like this, he'd go, I don't know, I can just load it up here, and he'd carry it down. So he spent like 4 years of his life, first 4 years of working life, with his wrist back with immense load. And that's where it came from. And then arm wrestling, it just was like, well, okay, that's fine. That doesn't hurt. No one. So I think that's where it came from. But it's one of those extreme end of the spectrum arm wrestling styles, isn't it?
Yeah. If you're talking about, people love Devon's Hill analogy, right? It is right.
Jerry's
on
Jerry's the bulldozer that doesn't care the hill's there.
Yeah. Literally. Jerry's like, what hill?
Just come straight through here.
Yeah.
So if Jerry was to face Levan,
yep.
I know that's the match that Jerry wants. Jerry, of course he wants it. I mean, when he beat Gennady, he became the East vs. West world champion. He then injured his pec so he couldn't pull. And Ermes then took the crown. Ermes went on and faced Levan and got very close.
Yeah.
In such a way that we all thought, if that was Jerry right there on that stop, Jerry wins. Ermes doesn't have that center game flop press endurance that Jerry does. So is there a lane that Jerry actually wins on Levan? Like, are you brave enough to say yes? Jerry's watching, remember. Jerry's watching right now.
And Jerry's scary because Jerry can throw me across the table.
Jerry is watching you right now. I'm going to put it right on your camera so I can talk to Jerry. Tell Jerry.
I don't think Jerry can get the same stop as Ermes. Not because of the lane.
You know Jerry just threw his coffee at his television screen.
Look. I agree that if Jerry was in that position, in that point of the match, Jerry could have won. Don't get me wrong. I just think Ermes got that stop because of his pronated back pressure and transitioned through to the flop defense. The same thing we saw with Devin v. Tarasavakin. Just that lane was made available to Ermes because of his immense top roll threat. That's the only reason.
So you don't think Jerry's got enough back pressure?
No, I don't think he's got enough of a top roll threat.
Not enough top roll threat to get to the flop stop.
Yeah.
What if he just says, I don't need back pressure. I'm just going so far under. I'm just going to start under there. Like, don't be ready to go. Just lets it all go. Just dives in underneath.
Does Levan have a press off the go? Because if Levan has a press off the go, I'm sorry, Jerry. But please prove me wrong.
Well, we often talk about the moment Travis beat Jerry.
Yeah.
But Jerry's about to throw his coffee.
Yeah,
Jerry's
he's
loading his second coffee up right now.
So Jerry, you can be like 10 coffees.
He's about to throw the coffee, but he's waiting because he can tell I'm going to say a point that's going to be a pro Jerry point. Don't throw yet, Jerry. Even though Travis belted Jerry with that particular year, Jerry's win record over Travis is like 11-1. Every year prior to that, every moment prior to that, even through the Travis glory years of when he was beating Vavoda and all that, Jerry was smacking Travis with a flop press. So that day, Travis worked it out, but we haven't seen
the match since.
We haven't seen Jerry's adjustment to that yet.
No.
So Jerry might have the adjustment. He might be like, "Yeah, that's cool. You think if you go up tall on me like that, I'm actually just going to hook you now." I don't know, because Jerry, if someone goes overcommitted with a post trying to get a press on Jerry's flop, he may just be able to say, "Oh, thank you, I can turn you in now."
Does Jerry have that much wrist flexion?
His
wrist flexion looked phenomenal against Matt Mask when they had that match in WAL. That his wrist looked very, very good in that match. So we know he's an elite arm wrestler. He's got wrist flexion, but does he have enough to, even when Levan is all the way up there, does he have enough wrist flexion threat to do that to Levan?
I don't know.
I find that really hard to.
This is why it's hard to be a Jerry fan.
It's really hard to.
When I say fan, Jerry, I'm just saying, we love you. I'm saying it's hard to be a Jerry believer that he'll get the job done.
That he'll win a match. It's hard to.
Because look, what I'll be honest with is that Jerry does things that I don't feel like are humanly possible.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
When I try to extrapolate my own experiences of what it's like to be in this position against people that are strong, you quickly back off not because of a lack of strength, but because of a fear of injury. That's what your elbow says to you: warning, 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 something's going to blow up. Jerry doesn't seem to have that, or he has it to a level that is just out of this world.
Well,
when Gennady was punching like this against Jerry, and he's out there, he's so far separated. Like, he's on the front of the pad, he's so far separated. There's no shoulder behind it anymore because he's so far twisted and separated. And someone of Gennady's level strength, fully pronated, just freedom hitting like that, still couldn't get him down.
And we know Gennady has a transition to anywhere on the table. What was it about Jerry that meant Gennady never felt that he could?
And this is the thing where,
because we were thinking, you
got
high ground, come on, shoulder forward. But evidently, there's something about Jerry.
Yeah. And people call Todd Hutchins the side pressure king. I think Jerry's the side pressure king. I do. I think Jerry has way more side pressure than Todd. And it's for this reason. Answering your question, I remember commentating that match. I remember thinking, this is over. Gennady's crushing Jerry here. It's done. That was what was in my thought. I wasn't saying that through the microphone. But I was thinking, this is over. It's going downhill. When Gennady had everything, and let's be honest, he had everything. In a pronation sense, hand control sense, he was freedom to hitting. Jerry's fully exposed up like this. There was a weird moment where, despite being in that position, all of a sudden, maybe the seventh hit of Gennady stayed behind.
Yeah.
It didn't come with him all of a sudden. It went, boop, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, Gennady's gassing. Gennady's bicep is gassing. Like, Jerry out here has found Gennady's bicep somehow. Like, who can do that? Who can gas someone's bicep from out there? Jerry can. And it's because Jerry has, I think, I would love to feel what his side pressure's like in that super compromised position, because it must be significant still to gas Gennady's bicep.
Yeah. Evidently, it's one of those weird spots which at that point doesn't have any kind of immense pinning threat. Because you could see Gennady coming up to center just fine, but
Is it
that just full torsion and it just gets to the
is
end
it
of its
Jerry
range of motion?
with a block?
Stops?
Like, where's the vector, the direction? Is it a sideways, or is it a downward like this? Is it a
up?
Is it a pushing up? Like, which of it? He uses combinations of all those things. You see him floating around, but which is the one that gasses the biceps of people like Gennady? Which one? Jerry, message us. Let us know. Jerry's enjoying this show.
Yeah,
he's starting to like it again now. He was throwing coffees before.
We've got to get back to that.
I think we need to get back to some coffee throwing. Yeah.
We can't be too nice.
Okay, what the hell happened, Jerry, when you faced Georgi Tsvetkov? Do you think Jerry won that match, or Georgie lost that match? You gonna get a coffee thrown? Here it comes.
Yeah. Like Georgie lost.
Why? What happened? Well, I got it a bit too. I don't know how Georgie didn't win that
match. We saw Georgi keep climbing well after he should have stopped. Well after he had more than enough hand control and climbing wasn't getting him anything. But again, we see this weird thing from Jerry. I don't know whether this is because Georgie hasn't tried it, whether he's not conditioned for it, but he never felt like he could stand up and go for a press finish. He had all the control in the world.
That is the mystery, because everyone says, why didn't Georgie just stand up and do that? Like, being that far over the hand and being so deep down, just like...
With such back pressure dominance too. It's just like, you've completely disengaged the man. Why wasn't that an option?
Is that mysterious side pressure threat of Jerry
Is it because super heavyweights can't arm wrestle? Or is it because Jerry's that weird?
I don't know. These are questions that I genuinely have. I don't understand why Georgie didn't win. I thought he'd done 99% of the work. Just the last 1% was there. And it didn't appear from a technical standpoint that it was a difficult transition to make. No. It looked very simple. Very simple.
It looked like it was being...
Like you said, with the back pressure dominance, it should have been simple.
Yeah. And it wasn't just I've got better back pressure. It was I've got everything I could possibly want right here as a top roller. For all the control I could possibly want, I'm A-side, I'm fully... And the man couldn't finish the match. That's...
So are you still in the camp of Georgie lost? Or did Jerry win? So there goes the coffee. Okay, let's build up another moment where Jerry may throw a coffee at us. Jerry wants Levan, right? And I want to see Jerry v. Levan.
Yeah.
I think for the sake of the sport, for the sake of Levan's completeness to his story, he needs this. I think he does need it. I think it would be a great disservice to himself if he goes on, retires, having never faced Jerry.
Yep.
I think that'd be a terrible move for Levan. But I've seen a lot of people say, no, Jerry must face Ermes first. Now, here's the problem I have. Sorry, Jerry, but I think Ermes crushes Jerry. But I still want to see Jerry and Levan. I need to see Jerry and Levan, but I think Ermes crushes Jerry.
Literally every super heavyweight that I pull up. No, that's a lie. But every time we're like, Jerry keeps getting underestimated. Mm-hmm. Now I think this person will crush Jerry. See, the reason I don't quite like Jerry v. Hermes before Jerry v. Levan is not necessarily whether or not it's a bad match for Jerry. It's because if Jerry loses to Hermes, him versus Levan no longer
exactly. That's the problem. Well, but it does.
And I'm going to put that as an if. I'm going to say, let's say Jerry Cadorette's a 60-40 favorite over Hermes. Let's just say that. If that 40% happens and Hermes wins, that shot v Levan now becomes irrelevant when you lose that story.
It should happen. There are many instances in arm wrestling where there's a triangle of victories and losses.
Yeah.
Jerry may just have the keys to beating Levan. He may. I don't think he has the keys to beating Ermes. I think Ermes has the keys to beating Jerry. When we look at the way Georgi Tsvetkov arm wrestled, Ermes does that better than Georgi Tsvetkov. Yeah. Like, he has more back pressure than Georgi Tsvetkov. He has more pronation than Georgi Tsvetkov. He has better wrist and hand control than Georgi Tsvetkov. And he has a transition to that. He will beat Jerry. Jerry, I'm sorry. Throw the coffees. I'll dodge. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, Hermes does everything Georgie does better with a transition to a press. So if
Jerry,
it's a similar shape, Hermes should win the match.
Now, Jerry's probably sitting here. He's probably throwing his coffee. He's got a little bit left in. But some heart-to-heart, Jerry. You know you're the underdog severely against Hermes, don't you? Tell me. I think Jerry would admit that in small circles. Maybe not publicly.
Definitely not.
Would you, Jerry? Would you? There's a long list of questions that we need Jerry to respond to in a comment for this, because he's watching. I know he's watching. He's gone through 6 coffees. He liked this for a little while.
Yeah. But the coffees are gradually getting hotter
Hermes
and hotter.
surely is the heavy stylistic favourite. Now, and I know that Jerry was able to withstand Gennady when he'd lost everything. But I think Hermes is stronger than Gennady.
Hermes, and look, there's debate as to the form of Gennady that showed up in that match in King of the Table.
Oh, don't say that. Jerry's he's about to really throw something at you now.
But Hermes crushed Gennady. And now Gennady didn't
Hermes lost to Cadorette, though. It was a while ago.
Yeah. But you know, Gennady never really came forward in that match, and we were both shouting at the screen, going, "Come forward! There's a lane there. That lane."
Actually, look, okay.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to say
Jerry's just gone. Thank you, Ethan. Finally, someone said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
There was a definite lane there for Gennady to
where it was like
use.
If he was brave enough to stay at the front of the pad, it looked like there was something there, but he kept on trying to go back. Where Jerry would stay at the front.
Yeah, he's there. And what I'd want to see from Jerry is not running and coming as far down and fighting for some height and depth, and then making Hermes take his hand from deeper within his cup, actually try to press Hermes, have his cup taken from him rather than giving him that and landing in a flop from there. If Jerry does that, then I can actually see a winning lane for Jerry. If Jerry volunteers his hand like he did against Georgi and just doesn't even try for any height or depth, then that's a hard match. But coming deep and coming forward and saying, I'm going to genuinely press you. And
holding on as hard as he can.
As hard as he can, as Hermes takes his hand and just coming into that front of the pad block.
Yeah.
I can actually see that lane. Gennady should have gone for it and didn't. Jerry will go for it. But he has to be deep. He has to.
I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I'd forgotten that, and I can't, like, if it's the Georgi Tsvetkov shape, I can't see it happening. But I do agree.
Yeah.
There was a moment where Gennady could have, and Jerry in that position would.
Absolutely would have. See, Jerry, we don't hate you. We do love you.
So I don't want the Jerry Hermes match to happen. I don't want. I think because of what you said, if Hermes wins, the organizations and I think
and the fans
and the fans should still want it anyway. I think, but the organizations will say it's no longer relevant, and Levan will probably say that too. I really want Levan to realize how important this is to his legacy. Levan's been the king of this era these last 5-6 years.
Yep.
He's beaten every style there is to beat. He's done it convincingly, with the exception of Jerry's style. And given Jerry's record, you have to say it's a question mark.
And you have to say that the one time we haven't seen a weakness in Levan's game until his match with Hermes, and the one shape that we saw a weakness against
was the shape Jerry has.
Absolutely. And even if we look before he went professional, when he lost to Gennady used that shape. So it's definitely a question of, has Levan conquered that style of arm wrestling yet? That's the only question mark that we really have. Of course, you see Levan is no longer looking untouchable. That there are people that the super heavyweight level
the pack's
seems to be
coming.
catching up.
The
It's
pack
coming,
is reeling
it's
him in.
coming.
You can see it. Yeah.
But for Levan to say, for this era, I was the dominant man. Yeah. I want to see him. I want to see him either conquer that style completely and tell us, no, I figured it out.
Because I think
I've got
it's
it.
the right.
Or
the right.
Jerry gets to prove to us that, don't you dare place me as an underdog against anybody, because I will ruin their day. This is prove the world wrong, Jerry.
Yeah. It has to be something that happens, because for Levan, I'm sure Levan's he's a fan of storytelling. He's a fan of the sport, and when you're at that point that Levan is, like, you have to go for the glory of all in. You can't leave a question. His legacy, I don't think it's tarnished if he loses. Like, he's going, we can see it. He's going to lose in the next year or two.
Probably.
I think that's inevitable, because it's so hard to defend against so many chasers. Someone's going to get him, and I think it'd be a real shame if he closed up shop before someone gets him. I think they're coming. I think Jerry's the one that's going to do it.
The story I want for Levan, and it's not the story he initially plugged, because the story he initially plugged has already ended, because he's conceded 2 rounds. The story I want from Levan is he gets to that point where there's that final climactic defeat, end of his reign, and then he comes back and takes it. I want that. I want that for Levan. I want him to be knocked down 1 or 2 ranks, and then come back and say, no, I'm back, and I'm
And then he hires Travis as a coach and comes back and smacks Jerry.
Look, if he adds Travis as his coach, he's smacking everybody worse than he was before. Can you imagine Levan with a Travis setup and Travis gamemanship with the refs?
Jerry's about to throw a coffee again. Be careful. All right, guys, let us know. Are we crazy? Jerry, please comment below. We want all of those points. We want the essays from you.
And tell us
how many coffees you threw. All right, guys. See ya.